So tell me why you started working with weather.
Well, Natalie and I have been working on a few other projects, and we were, and some of them involved how people interrelate with the landscape. So weather seemed like a natural step in a way. Also, we shared this studio space, and it was kind of a nice step to be able to use that space in a very good way. So,
what do you mean by how people interact with the environment?
The previous project, which I'm still sort of working on, but it's where there's a big building in Long Island City, is a gigantic sundial. It's this thing that casts the shadow for a sundial that expands over the whole neighborhood. So we had been talking a lot about how exactly that is a sundial, and how people can interrelate with it, how you can use the neighborhood itself to read time, or to kind of have a sense of the sun passing over, the shadows passing over the earth, and kind of getting a sense of how much space a shadow changes over the seasons, and so on. So we had established some walking tours in the neighborhood that define where the shadows land in the summer and where they should land in the winter, and kind of getting more of a sense of how people directly become involved with that sort of planetary kind of change.
And why
seasonal
were you
change.
interested in how people?
I've always been really interested in sort of instruments that detect, that like help us to detect changes like that, and so that was a natural step to the weather station as well.
And so tell me about your process. How did your process unfold in working with the weather station?
We liked the idea of a weather station, and we really liked, and Natalie and I worked together before on projects that were involving more printmaking and printmaking types of things. And we don't really come from a big electronic background, although some of the people that we have collaborated with do. So one idea was to build a weather station from the get-go, get all the component parts and so on. And Dan, another collaborator of us, was really interested in doing that, but we were concerned that would, take us years to even get like a thermometer going. So we decided to get a weather station kit. And in researching that, and in researching the whole phenomena, we found that there's a ton of things out there that you can actually just buy off the shelf that are all set up for you to just do. So we got so we just pooled together some money, and we got a pretty inexpensive kit. And installed it on the roof, and it was sort of plug and play, and we really could sort of get going with that. And since then, we've been building other instruments and learning about that, and with the help of Dan and so forth, to build other instruments that we can kind of augment our station with. Was there any other things that you did as part of your research process related to the station? I mean, did you look into historical artwork related to weather, or old-time instruments? Or? There's been a number of old-time, all kinds of research. I mean, and seeing what other artists have been doing with weather instruments as well. So and part of our program too is it's all of it's ongoing, but part of it is as a guest lecture series where we invite artists to come in and talk about what they've been working on, what they've been doing.
So how long has this process been going on?
About a little over a year now, and then talking about it for longer, so probably a year and a half.
So how did it actually unfold? You got the weather station first, and then you started the lectures, or? We talked about it a lot. We got the weather station going. Then we got a website going that was basically tracking weather-related things that we were kind of as a site for collecting information and kind of tracking our own activities. And then Dan was talking a lot about some friends of his who worked with something, and
and he was kind of, as a joke, was like, oh, maybe they should come in and do a guest lecture. And it went from there. It was like, oh, they actually could come in and do a guest lecture. We do have the space for that. Wait, and it moved on from there.
And so what do you think is the difference between your process in working with a weather station as an artist versus, a scientist or just somebody, just any old person who's interested in weather?
Gesundheit. We are, as scientists, we are interested in collecting data, but we're not super interested in the exact accuracy of it. So we don't really have right now exact experiment or anything set up. So we're not trying to. So we're different from scientists in that sense. But
so would you define yourself partially as a scientist?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of there's overlap everywhere, But as artists, we're more interested in sort of in the phenomena of why people collect data like this, and what people do with data, and how that in itself becomes a way of interrelating with the atmosphere or the natural world,
So, do you think that you're